Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for joining. For those that have joined, for those that are about to join, thank you in advance for joining us for Kwanzaa Live 2024-25, because the last night is on January the 1st, 2025. We're going to take a few minutes here to let folks see the notification and join us online on the Facebook Live. We're going to be broadcasting live tonight on my Facebook page and on the Act Enough Facebook page. That's our nonprofit. And Act Enough, or Enough for short, is the organization that's been bringing the community Kwanzaa alive for the last, I want to say, 4 years. I remember just a moment ago thinking back to when the first time we did it, my partner in crime was Sharita Mariner. And I'm not sure, Sharita, if you're watching, but I had a thought about when we first did it. One night I was in the car. My family was having dinner at Cheesecake Factory, and I went out to my car and started the stream yard. And we did the one of the first Kwanzaa lives that way, and it probably wasn't very good. but despise not small beginnings. So we're here now and glad to be here now. If you are online, I see the numbers climbing. Type in hello, type in glad to be here, type in happy Kwanzaa, type in Habari Gani. Habari Gani is the Swahili phrase that we should use if we're practicing Kwanzaa. It means what's the news? And your response to Habari Gani each day should be the principle for the day. Today's principle is Nia. So if someone said Habari Gani to you today, your response should have been Nia or purpose. And someone hit me with that the other day. We went to dinner, my family did, at Della J's in Alexandria. And I held the door for a lady that was coming out, and I had a dashiki on. And she said Habari Gani. And I said Ujama. And she said, okay, so you're hip. That was funny. But Habari Gani means what's the news? Think about that for the last few days of Kwanzaa, and you should know the principle for the day. So, look, we thank you all for coming tonight, for joining. I see Ivan on. Thank you for joining, sir. I want to ask everybody that's on to tag and share. I want to ask our presenter that's backstage if you can begin tagging and sharing people as well to the Facebook post. Again, it's on my Facebook page and on the Act Enough Facebook page. Either or fine. Teresa, I see you're on again. You have been faithful to Kwanzaa Live this week. There have been a number of folks that have been faithful to Kwanzaa Live, and I hope that it's been educational. I hope that you've learned some things every night. Look, a couple of things I want to touch on before we bring our presenter on for tonight. We have a great session for you tonight. Nia is the principal purpose. Nia is the principal purpose. And our presenter tonight is going to do a terrific job, I'm sure, of it. For those that are on, if you're looking at this hat, yeah, I'm rocking my Redskin stuff, my Washington stuff, because we're doing our thing this year. So I had to put that out there for the Cowboy fans that be watching. But aside from that, a couple of things to note, everybody. We have had a wonderful week thus far with Kwanzaa Live. We've had different people presenting and discussing the principle for each day. We had Carl Armstrong kick us off talking about Umoja or unity. We had Monica Gary come right behind him talking about Kuji Chukulia or self-determination, naming yourself, defining yourself so that others can't do that for you, controlling your own narrative. What an amazing session. Then we had myself and my wife, Jeanette, along with Algiers Diamond, Naisha Wilson, and her husband, Marlon Wilson, talking about Ujima, or collective work and responsibility, and talking about how it's our responsibility to make sure we're involved in our communities. And all three of them are very active in the community in different ways, from being a part of the Economic Development Authority to being entrepreneurs to being corporate executives. And it was a great, great conversation when the four of us talked about Ujima the other night. And last night we talked about Ujama with Nicole Cole. That was an amazing session as well. So we thank Nicole for that. She's a member of the SPOTSy Board of Supervisors. She's running for the Virginia House of Delegates next year. And she's an amazing woman and had a lot to say about Ujama and about the importance of collaborative economics, cooperative economics, and making sure we're focusing on where we spend our dollars, where we invest our dollars. And she gave us really good pointers on how we can make that real. All of these are available on the Act Enough Facebook page and on my page. There's a post that has a link to every session. Feel free to look at them. 3 days left. Tonight, we're going to talk about Nia with our guest presenter, who I'll introduce in a second. After that, we'll have Kaumba, or creativity. Tomorrow night, Delegate Josh Cole is going to be covering that topic. And our final night will be wrapped up on January 1st at 7 p.m. with Ivan Coates as he talks about Imani, or faith. So we have 3 days to go, and it's been great so far. Also, what I want to let you all know, we had an article in the Fredericksburg Free Press today talking about Kwanzaa Live 2024. So if you get a chance, go out to the Fredericksburg Free Press online. I'll put the website here if I can find it. I know I typed it in at one point, but it's fredericksburgfreepress.org, I believe. .com. There you go, fredericksburgfreepress.com, and you'll see the article talking a little bit about how Kwanzaa Live came to be and some of the people in the past that are presented, as well as what we're doing now. And there were a couple of interviews. Actually, there was an interview with tonight's presenter, and she had some great things to say. Thank you very much for some of the kind things you said about me in the interview, but it was very insightful. Take a look at it, and it's a great way for us to get the word out about Kwanzaa. We want to share the information about Kwanzaa with those that aren't familiar with Kwanzaa. And you'll find that a lot of people are not familiar with Kwanzaa. The last thing I'll touch on is this brief history of Kwanzaa. This just talks about where Kwanzaa, how it came to be. And you see here that it is an African-American, Pan-African holiday celebration. It is not a religious celebration. It is not specifically an African or African-American celebration. It focuses on the Nguzo Saba. That's Swahili for the 7 principles that we talk about, that we reflect upon, that we share during Kwanzaa, and that we should strive to incorporate in our daily lives, in our families, in our communities throughout the year. And you see them to the right of this slide: unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. Those 7 principles are the principles that we reflect upon each day in Kwanzaa. Traditionally, we should sit with our families around our Kanara, light candles, and discuss the principle of the day. We're all very busy. I know that doesn't happen a lot during the holiday season, but let's try to find a way to talk about these principles, not just during this 7-day period, but throughout the year, because it's important, regardless your faith, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, what have you. These principles make a tremendous difference. Kwanzaa comes from a Swahili phrase, Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means first fruits. It means first fruits and refers to the first harvest celebrations in Africa. Dr. Malana Karanga created Kwanzaa in 1966, and you see some of the information here about why he created it after the Watts Rebellion, the riots in 1965, to bring unity back to the African American community and to get us focused and reset on what's important. And these 7 principles, being Nguzo Saba, were the principles that were used to pull people together to focus us on Kwanzaa. And let's work on making Kwanzaa and these principles an important part of our lives and our families' lives and our community's existence as we move forward. Last point, the last day of Kwanzaa, there is a karamu, or a feast, to close out Kwanzaa. We've been doing that for the last 15 years with the annual New Year's Day Spades tournament and fellowship. So we are having a karamu this year at our home. It's been 15 plus years, actually. And everybody's welcome. You don't have to play cards. Plenty of food, plenty of music, plenty of family. Have a good time. Stop in and just close out the year together. Okay, so I wanted to touch on those things. Today, we're talking about Nia, and we have a great presenter with us, an amazing woman that I've come to know much better over the last year and a half. She certainly made my life more fruitful and more productive, and helped me to learn more about my call and about my purpose in ministry and just in just living, right? Being a person. So she has a lot to offer to individuals and to the collective, and I'm sure she'll have some information tonight that'll cause you to think and cause you to look at things differently. I'm talking about none other than Dr. Angela Thomas, Dr. A, as she's affectionately referred to by those that know and appreciate her. And we're so thankful, Dr. A, that you took some time to come online with us tonight. And I have a quick question for you before we turn you loose to talk about Nia. What was it, besides my constant badgering, that caused you to say, sure, I'll join you for Kwanzaa Live this year.
First of all, you didn't constantly badger. It was one text, and I said yes. But but it seemed fun. One, it's an honor to be asked. So if Gary asks you to do something, you try to find a way to say yes. So it was an honor to be asked. But it also sounded really fun, just to really dive into the principles myself and to be part of such an amazing event. And then we were talking backstage about like how I chose this particular principle. Well, first I had to look at my schedule because you talking about live at 7 p.m. So I was just like, okay, I preach here and then I preach there. And so which principle fits somewhere in there that I feel like I could speak to? And it all came together. So that's why I said yes. And I know it's a party, anytime I can talk to Gary, it's a party. So that's why I say yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Look, I see a lot of folks that are on. I see some folks that have been on throughout the week, and I see some newcomers here from Zion. And thank you all for joining. And look, I'm going to just turn you loose. I know you've done a little research and you've done some preparation. And tonight, y'all, we're talking about Nia. We're talking about purpose. And the great thing about Kwanzaa Live is the presenters have the freedom to talk to us about that principle, what it means, how it's relevant now, and what we can do to make it a part of our lives. What we can do pragmatically, practically to embrace that principle and bring it to life. So I want to turn it over to you, Dr. A, and let you go for it. Nia, over to you.
Nia, fun. All right. Well, thanks again, Pastor Gary, and hello to everybody watching. So, for context, Nia means purpose. And there are 5 points that I'm going to talk about in terms of purpose, but just wanted to let people know kind of why this is near and to me and why it stood out to me when I was trying to figure out which of these principles I felt like I can best speak to. One, I feel like I am incredibly blessed that the number of hats that I wear all seem to converge around a common purpose. So I wear the hat of pastor, I wear the hat of teacher, I wear the hat of healthcare executive, I wear the hat of scientist, I wear the hat of being the co-chair of the health committee for the NAACP. And so much more. A mom, wife, daughter, all of those things. But I also wear the hat of encourager. And so all of these things, author, all of these things kind of converge around this one purpose in my life. And that is, how do I use what God has given me to build his kingdom? And so I try to like filter everything through that purpose. So when I saw purpose as one of the principles, I was like, I totally want to speak to that when I feel like I can. And so going deeper into what purpose means in terms of Nia for Kwanzaa, it really is talking about this collective purpose, meaning coming together on purpose. So how do we as a culture, how do we as people from as descendants of Africa, how do we as people of a common community, how do we restore the resilience of our community by coming together with a collective purpose? And I love that because it speaks to a lot of the things that I try to thread in my career and all the spaces that I travel. Is how do I come together with somebody else's purpose to do something good for the kingdom, for the community, for the organization, for whatever that common thing that we're trying to do. I also love it because it speaks to resilience, it speaks to creativity, it speaks to unity. And so and these are things when you think about our history and the things that we've had to overcome and the things that the challenges that we face, we've done better when we've come together around a common purpose collectively. We're more resilient, we're unified, we're creative when we do those things. And I feel like I see those things in all of the spaces that I travel. So that's one. That's my first point. I got 5 preacher points, 5 points that I want to share with everybody. That's the first point, is that it means collective purpose. The second thing that it really speaks to is balance. So it's asking for this balance between your personal goals and the good of the community, if you would. So how do your personal goals align with the betterment of your family, align with the betterment for the community, align for the betterment for future generations to come. So it does no good to just have these goals for yourself just to say, oh, I did that, I achieved that, that's wonderful. I think there's a place for that, but that's not really what Nia is speaking about. It's speaking about having these personal goals that also help other people, that also help the community, that also help your family, that also help generations to come. It's one of the reasons why, one, it took me forever to write a book, but two, it's why I ultimately decided to write a book, because people kept asking me the same things about tips on this, that, and the other. And I felt like when I talk about the book, I say it's a love letter to my community, because I wanted to make sure the things that I accomplished just didn't sit there for me, but it also helped and continues to help my community. And so my question to you is, how does what you do, or how do the things that you're involved with, how does it help your community? All those things that I listed that I'm involved in, it helps the community. When you think about Gary, all the things that he's involved in, he's a great dad, he's a great grandfather, he's a great husband, he's a pastor, he's an executive himself, and he's an amazing community leader. And all of these things make for a better family, make for a better community, make for a better legacy, help other people, generations that will come behind him. So just think about those examples in your life, think about your own life, and see, is it really living up to the principle of Nia, a collective purpose, and a purpose that has balance between personal goals as well as it's helping family, community, and future generations. So that was point number 2. So point number 1, collective purpose. Point number 2, balance. Point number 3, it's sort of a two-parter. So it's uncover, then collaborate. Uncover, then collaborate. So no, purpose is something that a lot of people struggle with in trying to figure out, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I made to do? What is my thing? I don't know that. They may get frustrated because they see others who have seemed to figure out their purpose, but still trying to figure out what theirs is. Here are a few tips to kind of uncover your purpose. What's the thing that people always call you for? Whether that's advice, whether that's fixing things, whether that's to help, whatever that is, think about that. That's one area that might give you some clues to what your purpose is. The other thing to think about, is there anything that you do that you get lost in? You forget to eat, you forget to you zone out everything else, you forget to check your phone. What is there? Is there something you're just always ingrained in? That could be another key. Is there something that you seem to always get, quote unquote, in a good way, labeled as, oh, that's she's a great leader, or he's a great encourager, or give it to him, he'll always get it done, or he's a great thinker, think outside the box? Is there something that people are always saying about you? These are things that could be symptoms of your purpose. Is there a subject that you've always been great at school? Do you tend to navigate towards certain arts or something? That these can be symptoms of you identifying what your purpose could be. But uncover it and then collaborate. The then collaborate means you're not supposed to do this thing alone. Your purpose, you fulfilling your purpose, is more powerful when you come alongside and collaborate with others who are fulfilling their purpose. So it kind of gets back to that first principle of a collective purpose. When people get together, now I'm gonna go a little pastor on you, I'm gonna go a little biblical on you, because the word of God says that one can chase 1,000, but two can put 10,000 to flight. So that means we're more powerful together than we are by ourselves. And so always find a way to come together with others. As a scientist, I don't do any science by myself. I'm interested in one sector, and it's going to be really nerdy sounding, patient safety and health equity. But I'm always looking for my partners who are in economics, or who are in human factors, or who are in data science or AI. I'm looking for those partners to come together with me, because we can do more powerful things together. So think about uncover, then collaborate. That's number 3. Number 4 is legacy. Number 4 is legacy. And this is super important. Nia underscores that part of our purpose should always be thinking about the generations behind us. Should be always thinking about leaving a legacy. How is what you're doing paving the way for somebody else? How is what you're doing leaving an example? How is what you're doing improving the environment for other people? How is what you're doing helping to discover something new that others can use? How is what you're doing helping to leave an inheritance? How is what you're doing helping to share your experiences so that others don't have to go through those same experiences? You're saving them some time. How is that happening for you? Here's a couple of examples of that has happened in my life. I'm educated. One of the reasons I'm educated is because of my 99-year-old grandmother. She used to always say, listen, my girls in the family, I want them to have their education because I want them to have freedom of not having to be bound in a relationship because they're not educated. And that was personal for her, but it also was something that rang true for my mother, and then it rang true for me. And so she made sure she left that legacy. She's still alive. She'll be 100 in July, but she made sure that that's part of her legacy for the daughters, her granddaughters, her great granddaughters. That's the legacy. I would say that another example in my life is that I overcame teenage pregnancy, and one of the reasons was my father. My father, when I told my parents in the most horrible way, but when I told my parents that I was pregnant, he gave me hope that day that everything would be okay. And also his mother, my grandmother, she was a teenage mother. Her daughter, my aunt, they were teen moms, and they sat with me and my mom and helped us with understanding how to navigate those waters. And so that's legacy that they left. It didn't have to be this huge book. It didn't have to be a major career. It didn't have to be something grandiose. It could just simply be encouragement. It could simply be a kind word. It can simply be experience sharing. It can simply be giving somebody something to hold on to. In my career, I always, 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 always say yes to anybody who looks like me. And you know what that means, who wants to get on my calendar for advice. I always say yes because it's my way to make sure I give back and try to leave a legacy and make an imprint on somebody else's life. And so that's number 4, legacy. And then number 5 is not necessarily a principle or a point, but it is a challenge. And that's what it's called, is challenge. It's a challenge for you. And how today, this week, can you think about the principle of Nia and how you are living out or can do better about living out that principle? Maybe you can do better in the collective purpose principle, understanding that, listen, I come from a legacy of people who are resilient, who are creative, who when they unify and come together on purpose does amazing things. How can I channel that same kind of energy in my life? Or maybe you can do better at balance. Maybe you have incredible personal goals, but you haven't tied them to how that makes your family better, how that makes your community better. You haven't tied it to that. So maybe you should be intentional about thinking about that. Or maybe you need to spend some time just uncovering your purpose or figuring out how to collaborate with somebody else on purpose. Maybe that's what you need to figure out how to do this week. Or maybe it's just simply, how can I leave an imprint on somebody else? How can I leave a legacy to make somebody else better? How can I do that on purpose? So that's my challenge, is for you to figure out how you can do better about living out Nia this week. With that, Gary, I am done. Those are the 5 principles or the 5 points about the principle.
Wow. That was really good. I'm not surprised at all. I'm keeping track here and trying to capture the points that you made. And it's like I'm in Bible study, just taking notes. And for those that know me, sometimes I'll do that. I'll take all these notes and then I'll just post them in the groups. And people will call me and say, how did you capture all that? I guess it's because of the telephones. I can type fast on the phone. You shared some great information, Dr. A. And I think when people hear about purpose, they want to hear about how they can find their purpose. What's my purpose in life? Am I going to be this? Am I going to be that? But the way you described it was very different and should definitely cause all those that were on tonight to think differently about purpose, especially when it comes to Nia, when it comes to Kwanzaa, because it is much broader than just us. You know, our purpose should contribute to the collective. Our purpose should contribute to our family, to our workplace environment, our faith environment, our neighborhoods, etc. If we find our purpose, there should be alignment in who we are and how we move in different areas of our lives. And the way you talked about that and tied together, what was really good. And I think it'll help a lot of people that are on to realize that maybe they haven't been moving in their purpose because they're in places doing things, but maybe they're doing 30 different things in 30 different realms, and it's not really aligned to who they know they are at their core. So the way you broke it down was great. Balance, uncover, then collaborate, uncovering what it is our purpose is, what it is we're here for, what it is we can do to help make someone else's life better, and then to do what we do to leave a legacy. I'm a big family person, as many of us are. My granddaughter's here. We're celebrating her fourth birthday tomorrow. Our daughters are here, two of them, two of the three. Our son is here, of course. We're going to have family and friends here tomorrow. And just thinking about legacy, it certainly has been on my mind as I look at my children who are adults now and young adults. And am I walking in the purpose that can impact them and help them to replicate that on down the line? So your discussion about legacy really touched my heart. And thank you for the challenge at the end of the day. And I hope everybody on was challenged to think about purpose differently and to think about how, as we move in our purpose, we can help our communities. The definition here, the Kwanzaa definition, the official definition for NIA, is to make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. All right, you can take our people, define that however you want to define it, right, based on your your world, but take define that as you may. It's great when we step back and collectively make sure that we're doing things, we're operating in our purpose in a way that helps our community, helps our people to become better, to be restored to traditional greatness. So I love Nia. I love this particular. I love all the principles. I love this one, especially in the way you described it was amazing. I'm looking at some of the comments here. I see Tammy is clapping her hands. Uh, Denise, thanks for the 5 points to help us have depth in our purpose. I see Richard Davis is on here. Thank you, sir. Amen. This wasn't a sermon.
Yeah. He like points too. He like
Tequila, always on point.
points.
Thank you for joining, Shaquila. Ellen is on. Carletia. So many people have joined in. Nicole had a great comment here. Be intentional. Be intentional about the legacy we want to create, build, and live. You know, it's funny. Create, build, and live. When I saw that, sounds a lot like survive, stabilize, and thrive.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm with it. I like it. I like it.
We have to be intentional if we're going to progress. If we're going to make Kwanzaa a reality in all of our lives and our communities, we have to be intentional about it. So look, thank you so much for what you shared tonight. Tomorrow night, everybody, we're going to have Delegate Josh Cole, Reverend Josh Cole, Elder Josh Cole. He moves in a lot of different areas as well, but it's all tied to the purpose God has placed in his heart. He's going to be on tomorrow night at 7 o'clock talking about Kuumba or creativity. And if you've heard him speak, if you've heard him present, clearly he's an excellent presenter, and just like Dr. A. So come back tomorrow and just for 30 minutes and make sure you spend some time with us as we talk to Josh Cole on Kwanzaa Live about Kuumba or about creativity. So I want to turn it back over to you, Dr. A, for any final thoughts or comments you have on Kwanzaa, Kwanzaa Live, Nia, purpose, the new year, anything at all you have to close us out. I'll turn the mic back over to you.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Pastor Gary. Thank you to the audience for chiming in and listening in. The only thing that I would share that I didn't share is that one of the things I also like to reflect on when I'm doing really hard stuff, when I find the barriers, when I'm up against real challenges, I do like to think of those that came before me. Our MLKs, our Harriet Tubmans, our Frederick Douglasses, our those who really had to push against some really hard things. I really do like to think about their resilience and their unity and their creativity and their willingness to always find a path. And so when I hit up against those things, I think about them and others, real life folks who are still here today. I think try to think about them as well. So that's what I encourage people to do as well, is to think about others who have left a legacy for you and to remember them as you are moving through your purpose.
Very good. Awesome. Well, look, I think that is it. Thank you all for joining. Happy Kwanzaa. Remember, Habari Gani is the greeting during Kwanzaa. It means what's the news in Swahili. And today the response was Nia. Tomorrow the response will be Kaumba. So if someone says, and I know most of you, if I send you a text or if I call you and say Habari Gani, your response should be Kaumba or creativity. That's the principle for tomorrow. All right. God bless you all. Thanks for joining. Have a great evening, and we'll talk soon. Take care now.